Shocking truth, the 7 bone-chilling secrets Gilles De Rais hid in his chambers. Never told. The echoes of whispered secrets filled the darkened halls of the castle, where flickering candlelight barely illuminated the chilling remnants of Gilles De Rais's past. The air was thick with suspense, prickling at the skin like the touch of icy fingers. For centuries, the name Gilles De Rais has sent shivers down spines and ignited fires of intrigue, a twisted tapestry woven from his nobility, terrifying accusations, and gruesome deeds. What truly hid behind the bolted doors of his chamber? The ghastly truth lay buried beneath layers of history, waiting to claw its way to the surface. The first eerie secret was the odd arrangement of the mirrors. They were angled just so, some claimed, to capture the souls of those who passed by. People said that if you looked into them too long, you could hear the faint whispers of the damned. It was a chilling notion, but one that the superstitious villagers avoided discussing out loud, their fearful expressions betraying the dread they felt. Then there were the bloodstains. Or, as locals dubbed them, the red ghosts. Once a vibrant red, they now faded into a deep maroon, clinging to the stone walls like a bad memory that refuses to let go. No matter how often the servants scrubbed, the stains remained, seeping into the very bones of the castle. They chattered about it with wide eyes, their voices trembling with horror. It was said that these stains pulsed with the heartbeat of the castle itself, a constant reminder of the darkness that lingered within, but the whispers grew louder and the air crackled with tension. Rumor had it that Gilles had held midnight rituals, summoning spirits that skirted the thin veil between life and death. Dark shadows danced just beyond the flickering light, and every gust of wind was like a cold hand reaching for the unwary. Villagers claimed they could hear screams in those quiet hours, echoing from the heart of the castle. Each soul that ventured too close was said to be enchanted by a lingering spell, held captive by curiosity and fear. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The last secret might be the most shocking of all, a hidden passageway buried deep within the chambers, leading to a cave shrouded in mystery. One where the faint smell of decay clung to the damp air like a shroud. Those who dared venture close could hear the distant echoes of cries and laughter, a twisted symphony of life and death coiling around one another. But who would possess the courage to uncover what truly lay behind those stone walls? And what awaited those who dared to explore the depths of Gilles De Rais's secrets? Was it the end of curiosity, or the beginning of a nightmare? A heavy silence fell over the castle, like a thick fog pressuring the air, as if the very stones of the walls whispered warnings to those who dared approach. Rumors had spread, winding through the superstitious hearts of those who lived nearby. It was a chill that crawled under the skin, igniting both fear and curiosity. Who indeed would brave the shadows that consumed Gilles De Rais's domain? The wind howled outside, rattling the old window panes, and a lone figure dared to enter the castle once more. Marie, the town healer, drew in a deep breath, determination mixed with dread. She had heard the tales, all the gruesome details, yet an unexplainable urge pushed her forward. Perhaps it was the thought of saving the lost souls previously devoured by the castle that urged her on, or perhaps it was the lure of forbidden knowledge that danced in the depths of her mind. As she stepped over the threshold, the temperature plummeted, and an all too familiar scent of decay seeped into her nostrils. It was stronger here, almost visceral. She closed her eyes for a moment, trying to steel herself against the memories of the whispered stories of the children who had vanished, of the screams that shattered the night. Resolutely, she moved down the corridor, guided by an unseen force towards the heart of the castle. Flickering shadows played tricks on her eyes, morphing into figures that darted away just as she tried to focus on them. Anxiety coiled tightly around her chest, each creak of the floorboards beneath her felt like a warning to turn back. But she couldn't. For the sake of the innocent souls, she pressed on. the mirrors lined the walls, each one reflecting elongated shadows that seemed to reach out, inviting her to gaze deeper. Just beyond the glass, she could almost hear the whispers, echoing of a time lost to horror. "What do you want?" she murmured, her own voice quivering in the silence. The mirrors, were they a window or a prison? Pushing past the ominous reflections, she found herself drawn toward the door that had been left ajar, revealing a flicker of light within. It was the door to Gilles De Rais's chamber. The moment her hand grazed the cold, iron handle, a sudden chill forced her to yank it away. An unseen presence wrapped around her, urging her to reconsider. Yet, curiosity clawed at her heart. What power did this place hold? She had to know. Steeling herself with a deep breath, she flung the door open, the old hinges protesting loudly in the stillness. Inside, her gaze fell upon a cavernous room cluttered with dust-laden relics and animal bones strewn haphazardly across the floor. The flickering torchlight illuminated grotesque symbols painted in what looked like blood on the walls. It was sanctification gone wrong, mingling the sacred with the macabre. And then she heard a soft, mournful wail emanating from the room beyond, pulling her like a thread into darkness. Her heart raced as she stepped forward, eager yet terrified of what lay ahead. Would she find the lost? Or would she become just another echo in Gillis's dark legacy? The sound grew louder, clarion and cruel, as though it reached out for her very soul. Every instinct screamed at her to turn and escape, yet she felt ensnared by fate, driven onward into the heart of darkness, and as she crossed the threshold into the next chamber, something cold and bone-chilling brushed against her neck, a whisper barely audible, yet full of desperation. Help! With a jolt, she turned sharply, facing the unseen dread lurking in the shadows. Who or what was calling for help? Marie took a hesitant step forward. She would not turn back now. But in doing so, she had crossed a line, crossing the threshold of the mansion into the depths of its darkest secret. Whatever awaited her ahead, the truth was now hanging precariously in the balance. What awaited in the darkness that claimed so many before her? The chamber beyond was shrouded in layers of dust, but it held a weight far more oppressive than any earthly neglect. Shadows clung to the corners, crouching as if waiting for Marie's every move. Her heart thudded in her chest, each beat a drum warning her of the danger that sat heavily in the air. She steeled herself, summoned the courage of a healer determined to confront the unknown. Help! The voice beckoned again, clearer now, wrapping around her like a ghostly embrace, tugging at her heart. The sound came from somewhere deep within the shadows, a plea drenched in sorrow. As she ventured further into the dim light, each step felt like a step deeper into an abyss. Show yourself! She called out, forcing the words through her tight throat. There was a soft rustling, a breath between silence, as if responding to her command. A flicker of movement nearly made her scream, but she swallowed her fear. She had come here for a reason. Suddenly, her foot struck something, an object slick with moisture. Bending down, she recoiled at the sight of what lay before her, a pile of broken dolls, their glass eyes staring blankly as if they were watching her every move. The sight sent a chill creeping down her spine, and she felt nausea rise in her throat. They were adorned with the tattered remnants of clothing that had once belonged to lost children. This was not just a room, it was a graveyard of innocence. Marie pressed on, her instincts screaming for her to turn back. Yet the wail grew louder, more desperate. It clawed at her insides, an unbearable testament to suffering that made her stomach churn. She moved toward the flickering light, illuminating a wooden altar at the center of the chamber, draped with a dark cloth, stained and tattered like a forgotten testament to something long buried. As she stepped closer, a nauseating smell overwhelmed her senses, blood and something rotten twisted together in a sickening embrace. The symbols painted on the walls melded into grotesque creatures of fear and dread, ghosts of actions past. She couldn't look away. She felt as if the very walls were pressing in on her, confining her in a coffin of memories that weren't her own. Marie. A figure emerged from the shadows behind the altar, gaunt and pale with hollow eyes that gleamed with a fierce urgency. It was a boy no older than 10, his face marred by time and pain. Please help us. A thoughtless gasp escaped her lips. The boy's voice pierced through the mental fog, grounding her back to purpose. "Where are the others?" She stammered, her voice quavering as she fought the disbelief that clouded her mind. That he glanced toward the altar, a look of terror etched across his face. "Trapped, we can't escape. We're bound to this place forever." Marie's mind raced. Could it be true? Were there more lost souls awaiting rescue, hidden in the web of darkness woven by the dreadful name of Gilles De Rais? A flicker of sudden hope ignited amidst the horror, urging her forward. "Who has you bound? What can I do?" She pressed on, her healer's instinct compelling her to act. Before the boy could answer, a low growl echoed through the chamber, a sound that curled her stomach tight. The shadows slinked closer, thick with malice. "Run!" the boy screamed. "You can't help us. It's coming." Marie turned, every instinct screaming that she needed to flee, yet her feet seemed frozen to the spot. The walls pulsed, breathing in rhythm with something dark, a manic heart lurking just beyond her reach. As the shadows loomed, tendrils of icy breath brushed against her skin. She could feel it now, whatever lived within these walls, it had awakened, and it was hungry. Would she succumb to the darkness? Would she become just another lost soul within these cursed halls? In that moment, she understood she was part of this tale now, woven into a legacy that demanded reckoning. Before she could make a decision, the boy uttered a final quivering plea, "Run before it finds you." A loud crash erupted from behind her, splintering the air, and she spun around confronted with the specter of her worst nightmare. The chamber was alive, restless and vengeful, brimming with the cursed secrets of Gilles De Rais. What emerged from the shadows would change everything for Marie and those she sought to save. But would she have the strength to face it? Would she turn the tides against the darkness, or become another lost memory in the eternal night? The air thickened, heavy with dread as Marie faced the creature coalescing from the darkness. It lurked at the edge of the flickering light, a shadow made flesh, monstrous yet somehow human. Its features were twisted, mockingly familiar, like a reflection of all the nightmares that had ever haunted her dreams. A sickly grin split its face as it stepped closer, revealing teeth that looked more like jagged shards of glass than instruments of mercy. "You're brave, little healer," it hissed, each word dripping with malice. "But courage does little against the hungry shadows." Marie's heart hammered in her chest. Fear coursed through her veins, igniting the instinct to flee. Yet another part of her, the part that had faced death in countless ways, clawed for control. She couldn't run. Not when the boy's life and the lives of the others depended on her. "Stay away!" she shouted, her voice shaking but resolute. She summoned every ounce of determination she had, stepping forward as if she could confront the darkness head-on. "Foolish girl!" The creature spat, its voice a screech that filled the chamber and reverberated in her bones. "You think you can save them? They are mine, as are you now." As if on cue, the shadows undulated, warping the very fabric of reality around her. Marie could feel their pull tugging at her mind, desperate whispers clawing their way into her thoughts. She faltered, trembling as memories of loss and sorrow flared to life within her, images of children, innocent faces, swallowed by fear. "Fight it!" the boy yelled, his voice cutting through the haze just in time. The urgency in his tone ignited something deep within her, a flicker of defiance that she hadn't realized she still possessed. "How?" Marie cried, as panic gripped her throat. "How can I help you? What do I do?" "Sacrifice," the boy gasped, desperation spilling from his lips. "You must offer something of yourself. Only then can you break the curse." The creature cackled, eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. "What will you give?" "Your pain. Your life. It means nothing to me." Marie shook her head, pushing against the tide of despair threatening to pull her under. "No. I want to give you my life. I will save them." The creature lunged forward, dark tendrils reaching for her, cold and seeping. In that moment, something flickered in the corners of her mind, a memory of healing, of warmth. She thought of the power she had, the strength that came from helping others. I will use my light. She screamed, reaching into the depths of her soul, grasping for every ounce of brightness she could summon. The moment she focused on healing, the shadows shrank back, hissing as if scalded by her resolve. The air shimmered, and in a desperate impulse, she began reciting a healing incantation taught by her grandmother, a reminder of the light in the midst of darkness. The creature shrieked, rage emanating from it in waves, and Marie felt the boundaries of her strength beginning to wane. The boy's eyes widened as he pleaded, "Hold on. You're weakening it. Keep going." But even as she poured light into the very fabric of the chamber, dread seeped in. How much could she sacrifice before she lost herself entirely? With every ounce of energy she sent forth, the creature faltered, but there was no certainty that she wouldn't be the one consumed in the process. The shadows roared, their whispers turning into howls of anguish as they undulated with rising fury. And then suddenly, a chilling realization gripped her. What if the creature was right? What if, in saving the boy, she only sealed her own fate? As the entity drew closer, clawed hands reaching to envelop her, Marie understood that time was running out. Would the light she wielded be enough, or would it extinguish, leaving them all trapped in darkness forever? The echoes of the past melded with the menace creeping near as she clung to hope, the last shred of it for their salvation. Could she outlast the shadows? Would she truly find a way to break the curse of Gilles De Rais, or would they all plunge into an eternal abyss? The final chant rose in her throat. As darkness seeped into every corner of her reality, and she had to know, what would the light reveal, and who would remain when the shadows were gone? The air crackled. Marie's heart raced, each beat echoing the thunderous growl of the creature looming before her, its presence gnawing at the edges of her sanity. She held her breath, drawing strength from the dim light swirling around her, her last tether to hope and humanity. "Keep pushing," the boy urged, his eyes aflame with determination. The shadows twisted tighter, clawing at her resolve, whispering memories not her own. They were visions of despair, memories shaped by the countless souls the darkness had devoured. The burden of their wails pressed against her mind, threatening to shatter her last strand of courage. "No!" she cried out, forcing her voice over the cacophony. "I won't let you take me. I want to let you take him." With that, she channeled her pain into power, broadcasting her intent like a lighthouse cutting through night. The glow intensified, pushing back at the edges of the gloom. And for a moment, she caught the flicker of hope reflected in the boy's eyes. "Keep going, Marie," he shouted. "You're almost there." The creature shrieked, its form warping as it staggered backward, tangled in the threads of her healing light. But just as she thought she could breach the veil of darkness, the shadows lashed back, a beast released from its chains. The room shook violently, dust raining down like snow, as the entity renewed its assault. "Is this your choice?" it hissed, the sickly grin widening, exposing more shards of glass like teeth. "To save a mere child while sealing your own fate?" The shadows pooled in the corners of the chamber, writhing and wriggling with malevolence. Marie could feel their hunger, the aching desire to feast on her light. The boy's breaths grew labored, the energy being sapped from him like water from a cracked well. Panic surged through her veins. "Marie!" he gasped. "Do you trust me?" "Of course." she shouted back, fury and fear battling in her heart. "Then listen closely. You have to reverse the light. Destroy the darkness from within." Desperation clawed at her as she concentrated. Memories flashed before her of joy, of kindness, of the warmth she shared with others. She focused not just on healing, but on understanding, breaking the very roots of despair strangling their spirits. "Reverse the light," she murmured to herself, each word like an anchor. Suddenly, the entity lunged, tendrils of shadow seizing her wrist, squeezing tighter. She gasped as the icy grip threatened to crush her bones. "You dare to defy me?" it spat. "You will join your friend in the abyss." "No!" Marie screamed, feeling the rush of energy spiral within her, building like a storm ready to break. "We are not yours. We don't belong to you." In one volatile moment, Marie drew in all her anguish, all her fierce compassion, and released it not as light, but as a shadow of its own kind. The shadows buckled and recoiled as she unleashed a torrent of vivid memories, bright and dark, hurt and healing intertwined. The chamber vibrated, reverberating with raw emotion. She could sense the creature faltering, remembering a past of pain, of loss, of countless lives it had consumed. It took a step back, the jagged grin faltering. Yet, there was a moment of dread in Marie's heart as the boy's gasps quickened. "I can't hold on much longer." The shadows writhed angrily at her defiance. They surged back, more menacing now, as if sensing their demise. "No." The creature howled, voice a twisting amalgamation of rage and disbelief. "This isn't over." Marie had to act fast. Clenching her fists, she summoned that final surge, battling the pull of the darkness with everything she had. What if the shadows were right? What if her own sacrifice would mean capturing the boy's spirit in return? But what if their connection was stronger than fear, stronger than this overwhelming darkness? Together, she screamed, pouring every ounce of truth into her words, challenging fate. The chamber trembled, the walls vibrating wildly. "We can conquer this together." And just like that, she felt it, the flicker of power igniting. The boy reached out, grasping her hand, and together they steeled themselves against the consuming chaos. Would their bond be strong enough to tear the very foundations of despair asunder? As the shadows howled and the creature roared, the final battle for their souls began. Would the alliance of their souls break the curse, or would it plunge them deeper into the abyss of Gilles De Rais's horror? The answer awaited in the heart of darkness. The energy crackled wildly, a storm of emotions swirling as Marie clasped the boy's hand tighter, drawing on the flickering flame of hope between them. The shadows felt alive beneath her skin, writhing, whispering doubts that feasted on her fear. But together, they faced the darkness, both trembling and pulsing with purpose. The creature shrieked again, a sound that splintered the air like glass. Its body twisted grotesquely, the shadows coiling around it, their hunger unleashed in full force. "You think you can win?" It snarled, the voice a terrible mockery of all the pain it had sown. "You are merely igniting your own destruction. Stop it." Marie screamed, her voice cutting through its hideous laughter. She let the boy's presence embolden her, his unwavering faith burning bright against the encroaching night. "We're not backing down. Not now." The light around her surged, fueled by defiance and hope. She focused on the boy, his spirit a vivid beacon against the encroaching shadows, and sent warmth shimmering through their clasped hands. Could he feel it? The electricity crackling just beneath the surface? "Keep pushing, Marie." He gasped, the strain visible in every line of his small face. "We're doing it." As if answering their call, the shadows recoiled, a powerful backlash rippling through the chamber. Lurching, the creature barely maintained its form. But it wasn't done yet. "You'll both regret this," it hissed, each syllable dripping with venom. With a flick of its wrist, the walls began to bleed a thick, inky darkness, the corners crawling like hungry spiders. Fear crept back into Marie's heart, but she pushed it down. No, they weren't alone. Not anymore. "We need to descend into our memories," she urged, remembering the boy's earlier words. "To confront the darkness directly. Together." He echoed, squeezing her hand with renewed vigor. The chamber pulsed, their connection a lifeline in the murky depths, and then she saw her past pieces of joy and despair merging, like a kaleidoscope spinning faster than her heart could handle. Every moment shattered and reformed, revealing the interconnectedness of all. The secrets they'd hidden even from themselves poured forth. The creature howled, an anguished wail that shook the ground. "Stop. You're awakening the truth. Truth is poison." Marie flinched at the power of its cry, but she pressed on. "No. Truth is freedom." A shimmering light burst from her, mixing with the shadows, illuminating the darkest corners of both her mind and the creature's. "We all can be free. The shadows twisted and howled in outrage as memories flooded the room, a tide of fear, love, loss, laughter, and light, all swirling together. The boy's eyes widened as he grasped the magnitude of what was happening. "Marie, it's working. We're breaking through." But then the shadows surged back with ferocity, as if they had gathered strength from every soul they had ever consumed. "You cannot silence me!" The creature screamed, surging forward with dark tendrils aimed straight at them. Marie felt a shiver down her spine as the darkness dashed toward her like a freight train. Panic coursed through her veins, but she forged ahead, digging deep into the heart of her memories of her parents' kindness, of laughter shared with friends, of every moment that had brought her joy. "Find your own light," she urged the boy, their connection vivid and unbreakable. "Let it guide you." He nodded fiercely, eyes sparkling with determination. Together, they fused their memories, pooling everything they had into one radiant beacon. The chamber shook violently, their combined light clashing against the darkness, an epic showdown between hope and despair. In that heartbeat of chaos, the shadows recoiled, revealing a gleam of truth buried within. "No. This is not how it ends." The creature screeched, trembling as the light began consuming its form. Marie felt the warmth rise within her, but doubt seeped back in a nagging voice, the faintest echo of hesitation within her mind. What if this all consumes us instead? She hesitated for just a second, but the boy's grip tightened. "We won't allow it," he yelled, igniting the fire back within her, and just as the shadows gave in, agitated and desperate, a sudden burst of brightness engulfed them, and Marie realized their fate now depended on the choice she would make next. In the heart of the darkness, would they redefine their destinies, or was there a hidden price they would have to pay? A terrifying truth awaited them. Only their unity could determine what came next. The blinding light enveloped Marie and the boy, crashing against the darkness like waves against jagged rocks. The creature's screeches mingled with the rising hum of their combined energy, each pulse resonating in their chests like a war drum. "We're so close. Keep your focus," Marie screamed, fighting against the tide of shadows that surged back like wild animals released from a cage, but doubt crept in with the shadows, wrapping around her heart like icy tendrils. "What if it's too much?" she thought, glancing at the boy, whose face was illuminated by the fiery glow of their hope. His eyes shone bright, holding back the storm of dread swirling behind them. He could sense her worry. "Marie, don't," he cried. "Trust the light. Trust us." With a deep breath, she anchored herself to the boy. Memories of brighter days washed over her, sunshine flooding a backyard, laughter echoing at family gatherings, sparking the resolve inside her to fight. The ground pulled underfoot as darkness writhed in agony, but she felt an electric surge within, ready to explode. Suddenly, the creature lunged, shadowy claws outstretched, its rage tangible as it unleashed a cacophony of echoes bouncing off the walls. In that moment, Marie heard whispers. Voices of those lost, of her past, tangled together. They didn't come from the shadows, they emanated from within her. "Marie," they whispered. "Remember," she concentrated, images flooding her mind. Each face and voice igniting flickers of warmth in the cold chaos. "I won't forget," she shouted. "You're not alone." The shadows recoiled, and Marie felt the strength from her memories coalesce into something far more potent, a beacon of resilience, brilliant and fierce. With her mind racing, she began to weave their experiences together with a nearly instinctual rhythm. The boy followed suit, and together they began a dance of light, illuminating the chamber like a supernova exploding into existence. Each step grounded them, the connection binding them tighter as surges of energy ripped through the oppressive darkness. The creature's shrieks grew frantic, a wailing beast losing its grip on power. "Stop! You're tearing apart the threads of reality," it howled, trying to gleam fear into their hearts. But they only laughed, a wild mix of joy and triumph. "No more lies. No more fear," they cried in unison. In a final act of unyielding defiance, they drew from that light, pushing it forward into a blazing cannon aimed straight at the writhing mass of shadows. The collision was thunderous, a burst of iridescent energy crashing against the creature with devastating force. Dark tendrils wriggled and writhed, screeching sounds melding into one another, creating a chilling symphony of despair. As the darkness began to shatter, Marie felt a jolt in her chest. A flash of white-hot energy surged through her veins, robbing her of breath. "What is happening?" she gasped. The boy's eyes widened as he scanned their surroundings, sensing impending danger as shadows regrouped around them, more powerful than before. "Marie, it's not over," he yelled, but there was no time. The darkness roared back to life, seeking vengeance, the creature driving forth with relentless fury. And then something shifted, a pulse of energy rippling through the air, an almost familiar yet unsettling vibration lingering, hinting at something darker beneath the surface of their victory. Marie felt it, a knot of fear in her belly, something unspeakable lurking in the edges of the light. Was this what they had unleashed? The creature's voice slithered back, oily and triumphant. "You've awakened the truths, but be careful what you unleash." And just as Marie braced herself for what was to come, the air thickened, the ground trembled, and chilling laughter echoed eerily around them, turning exhilaration into icy dread. What new evil had they stirred in their desperate quest for freedom? The shadows were more than a nightmare, they could be something beyond their reckoning. They needed to know. They had to face what lurked in the depths. The haunting truth awaited them, darker and more twisted than they could ever imagine. Would they have the strength to confront it? The shadows crackled, alive with angry energy, swirling like a storm around Marie and the boy. Pulsing waves of darkness crashed against their light, amplifying fear like a cruel whisper curling into their minds. "What if we're not strong enough?" Marie thought, her pulse quickening. It felt as if the weight of the world pressed down on her chest. The vulnerability she hung onto, the doubt gnawing at her confidence, began to surface again, choking her resolve. The boy reached for her, his small hand trembling slightly. "Marie, we have to stand together. It's the only way." His voice, though steady, held a thread of terror that sent chills racing down her spine. In that moment, she felt the burden of their mission heavier than ever. Could they really face what they had woken? Or had they unleashed something so dark it would consume them? Through the disarray of shadows, the creature's taunting laughter reverberated, echoing with a sinister life of its own. "Do you hear them?" it hissed, a sneer twisting its monstrous face. "The whispers of the past. They've come to warn you, my sweet children. What you've tapped into isn't mere darkness, it's the very essence of your fears. And I thrive on fear." Marie clenched her jaw, pushing back against the waves of despair crashing in. "We want to let you defeat us," she shouted, each word a willful barrier against the suffocating darkness. The boy nodded, his determination sharpening like a blade, fueled by the urgency of their peril. But as their light flared up defiantly, the shadows began to morph, dark shapes twisted and warped, revealing glimpses of horrors hidden in their depths. Figures of people she loved flickered in and out, twisted in pain, their eyes pleading for help. It clawed at Marie, tearing at her heart. "No! Stop!" she screamed, locking her gaze on the boy. They were shadows of inner torment, their tormented pasts brought to life. "What are you doing?" the boy cried, stepping back slightly, the horror etched across his youthful face. "We can't let them in. It's not real," Marie yelled, struggling to keep her thoughts anchored, to keep the light shining bright despite the influx of despair surrounding them. But with every flickering visage, Marie felt the beast feeding off her doubt, wrapping its dark tendrils around her resolve. "Accept the truth, Marie," the creature sang, its voice smooth and slick. "Face the horrors. Or they will eat you alive." Suddenly, the shadows surged, an avalanche of despair rushing toward them, drowning their light in a vortex of haunting screams. Marie squeezed her eyes shut. She could almost feel the fetid breath of darkness wrapping around her throat, tightening, squeezing. Memories flooded back, each one more vivid than the last. Alone in a crowded room, heartbroken, failures parading in front of her like a cruel puppet show. Would it ever end? Then came a powerful memory, a hug from her mother, warm and steady, pushing through the darkness. "Marie, remember who you are." The words held her together, sparking a fire deep within. The boy caught on, his voice rising above the clamor. "You're stronger. We're stronger. Illuminate the shadows." It felt like a lifeline yanked from the depths of despair. With a final surge, they joined forces, channeling their inner light, focusing on love, on hope. A mighty blast erupted from their hands, shattering the oppressive wave of shadows, radiating outward like a star collapsing in on itself. But even as the darkness recoiled, Marie could sense something else, a presence lurking just outside the edges of their illumination, something waiting to step through the rift they had created. A chill washed over her, threatening to sap the very hope they fought to replenish. "What have we done?" she whispered, dread curling in her belly. As the light throbbed, pulsing with both promise and peril, the shadows shifted again, revealing another shape, something sinister and immensely powerful. Would hope be enough? Or would they face yet another layer of darkness, one more unfathomable than the last, with a voice echoing in the depths of gloom? The creature's promise lingered, welcome to a true nightmare. What new confrontation laid before them? Would it drive them apart, or bind them closer, united against what lay ahead? The darkness writhed, distorting into a figure that sent ice through Marie's veins. It was larger than anything they had faced before, a towering mass, stitched together from the shadows of her deepest fears. The stench of decay filled the air like a noxious fog, clawing at her senses. "Do you recognize me?" the creature boomed, voice echoing like thunder, slicing through the tension. It lunged forward, its shape flickering, revealing the twisted likeness of someone she knew all too well, her father, his eyes hollow and void of warmth. "No." Marie gasped, stumbling backward. "You can't be real." The boy clutched her arm, his eyes wide with horror. "Fight it, Marie. It's not him." But the forged image spoke again, lips curling into a mirthless smile. "Oh, but I am your past, your guilt, and I have come to claim what is mine." Shadows coiled around the figure like snakes, each one whispering secrets meant to break her spirit. "Leave us alone," Marie shouted, forcing her feet to stay rooted to the ground. Her heart raced wildly, each beat a reminder that she was indeed alive, that hope still existed. But the creature twisted the knife deeper, probing into her insecurities. "You think you can escape? Every failure, every doubt, I bring them back to you. They are your chains." The boy screamed, drowning out the monster's voice. "Marie, hold on to me." Together, they summoned their light, a flickering flame against a tempest. With fierce determination, they pushed forward, illuminating the grotesque figure. The shadows recoiled, howling in agony, yet they held their ground. Marie felt a spark ignite within her. "Remember the hugs, the laughter, the love," she shouted defiantly, channeling memories of joy that punctured the darkness. The air thickened with energy, transforming fear into a blazing beacon. Yet the creature howled in rage, the agony twisting its features into something hellish. "Your light is weak. I am eternal. You cannot defeat your own darkness." Desperation gnawed at her, and she thought of the boy, his courage, his flickering hope. "We have a choice. We can't let it take us." "Together," he echoed, grasping her hand tightly, grounding her. Marie focused, tapping into that bond. Her mind cleared as the shadows thrashed, and with a fierce yell, she thrust her arm forward. "Together. We are unbreakable." For a moment, time suspended as the light expanded, pure and powerful. The creature screeched, the screech morphing into a chaotic cacophony. Then they felt it, a fracture. The light had broken through the creature's facade of terror. In that split second, glimpses of the truth flashed before her eyes, a gaping void where the creature's heart should be, a swirling mass of secrets it had been hiding. Realization struck like lightning, it thrived on her memories, yet it was also her greatest teacher, a reminder to confront her own shadows. As the creature faltered, Marie's heartbeat steadied. "What do you fear?" she whispered, breaking through the roaring tempest. "I fear being forgotten." The creature roared, crumbling back, its image flickering as if it existed in a realm of twilight. The ground trembled underfoot, and the boy's grip tightened. "We're here. We won't forget you." A moment of silence prevailed, and the shadows seemed to still, caught between two worlds. But even as Marie felt the light pushing the creature back, a nagging thought slipped into her mind: what if the shadows weren't done yet? What if they were merely waiting for the pair to let their guard down? And at the corner of her vision, a flicker of something else grew, another shadow, more powerful, even darker than what they had faced before. "Marie!" the boy gasped. "What now?" she breathed, dread creeping back into her chest as the air thickened with suffocating unease. The moment broke as that lurking darkness surged toward them once again, ready to plunge them into an unknown nightmare. Would they stand firm once more? Or would this new shadow seize the chance to take everything from them? The shadows writhed increasingly around Marie and the boy, their forms tangled and dark. The air trembled with foreboding energy, a threatening weight that threatened to crush them both. In the heart of this chaos, Marie recognized the most important choice awaited them: would they cower from this darkness, or would they face it together? "Remember who you are!" she screamed into the abyss, her voice breaking through the suffocating dread that clawed at her throat. The boy's grip tightened on her hand, resonating with strength forged in fear. "We are not alone," he cried, his voice a beacon, anchoring them against the roaring tide. Suddenly, the towering figure of darkness surged closer, each rasp of its breath sending tremors through the air. "You cannot escape your fears," it hissed, its voice a twisted echo of despair. But as panic licked at her skin, Marie realized this entity had one advantage over her: the power of illusion. "Those are not our truths," Marie shouted, forcing herself to breathe against the tightening in her chest. "You don't own us." The shadows bore down on them, clawing to wrap around their spirits and drag them into despair. But with each defiant word, she felt the warmth of her memories burn brighter: the shared laughter, the kindness of strangers, the love woven through the years. Each thought resonated with a ferocity that pushed back against the encroaching dark. "We're stronger than this," she yelled, drawing from that internal reservoir of strength. She gathered her courage like a fierce storm, focusing her mind, channeling every ounce of love she held for those displaced because of this evil. And then, just beneath the surface, she sensed the boy channeling his own radiant light, a connection woven by their shared quest. "Together," he echoed with fierce determination, and in that heartbeat of trust, the shadows recoiled, slithering backward as they intertwined their energies. Light pulsed between them, igniting as if fueled by the heartbeat of their combined resilience. The air crackled with intensity, and Marie felt anew the essence of catharsis, perhaps even redemption, that had emerged from facing their fears. "No!" the creature shrieked as the illumination burned brighter, tearing through the air and illuminating the chamber. Shadows writhed in agony, trepidation creeping into their twisted manifestations. Marie held the boy's hand tighter. "You cannot take our light," she shouted, her voice ringing with unwavering conviction. As their combined brightness surged forward, the layers of darkness began to peel away, revealing the distorted truth that lay beneath: witnesses of the past held captive by fear, desire, and hatred. The creature shrank in the blinding glow, a final gasp escaping its twisted mouth as realization hit: it had been defeated not by their fear but by their unity. The chamber echoed a haunting wail, but even amidst the horror, something shifted. Shadows dissolved into flickering fragments of memories, whispers filling the air, rising like steam. "We are free," the disembodied voices called, fading into the ether, unlocked by the remnants of love and promise that glimmered in the warm candlelight. Yet as the last shards of the creature dissolved into darkness, Marie felt an unfamiliar presence at the edges of her consciousness, a flicker tinged with malice. A new darkness, deeper and more intimidating, unfurled like an unending night. "No!" Marie gasped as she spun, but it was too late. The looming figure drew closer, its essence seeping through the cracks undermining their light, and she froze at the sight, something monstrous yet intimately familiar. You think you've won? The voice slithered forth, a cold promise threading through every syllable. There is always another layer of fear, another shadow to unveil. Face it together. The boys shouted, courage rising in their bond. They stepped closer, their connection fortified against the encroaching darkness. With every ounce of willpower, they defied the specter, pushing their light ahead. Face the truth. Marie erupted, channeling all her fears and transformed pain towards the emerging figure, wrapping it within the love that sprang from her heart. This is not the end. And then something happened. A brilliant cascade of light erupted forth, challenging the shadows even as they enveloped them. They were blurring, fading, crumbling, as the warmth of shared courage ignited their combined fears, transforming them into radiant pathways. The chamber lit up with a brilliance that crystallized the darkness into fractures, their bond blazing through the heart of the abyss, a beautiful testament to hope and healing that radiated outward in an explosion, cascading like shooting stars across the void. The boy looked up at her, awe in his eyes. We did it! He exclaimed. Marie let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding, tears springing free, realizing the gravity of their victory. They had not just dispelled darkness, they had drawn the lost souls into the day with their light. As the last remnants of the shadows hissed out of existence, a sense of calm settled within the chamber, the air no longer suffocating. The whispers of the lost turned to soft melodies of reassurance around them, a gentle reminder of the connection forged through suffering and hope. Together, we can heal, Marie whispered, her heart swelling with the weight of new beginnings. She turned to the boy, his smile bright, a reflection of salvation, courage, and newfound freedom amidst their trials. Where do we go now? He asked innocently, hope glinting in his eyes. Forward, she replied, hand in hand, stepping into the light of tomorrow, where shadows could only teach strength but never define them. As they left the chamber behind, a collective sigh of relief echoed through the castle, a promise of healing reverberating long after their footsteps faded, knowing that the echoes of courage would last through the ages. And so, they stepped away from the darkness, forever transformed, but what lingered, with each step forward, was the truth. Only through facing the shadows could true light emerge, and the realization that there might always be another challenge awaiting. Yet they would always find strength through the bond they shared, for they were no longer lost souls but warriors of light forever united. If you made it this far, here's the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. I want to hear from you, so flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the light together.